Hello and welcome to this lesson on the tune Skip to My Lou for this D-G Melodeon. The tune is a nice tidy one. It's all on the G row, which is this row here, the inside row, and it's all on 4 buttons, so you've only got to set up one right hand position. I've provided you with a chart of notes that you use. The notes in this tune are as follows. You've got F sharp, G, A, B, C and D. Now my instrument is a 4th button start. That's to say that my 4th button down, if I push the bellows in, that's a G. You may well have a 3rd button start, so therefore you'll be one up from what I've just shown you, but the chart I've given you is for a 3rd button start instrument. So basically you're in that one position there, and that gives you all the notes that you need for the tune. I've done this in the key of G major, so you've only got 2 chords to worry about, and the chords are G and D. I use my little finger on that. I tend to use 1 finger per row of buttons, so if you can, use your little finger on the G note. The button above gives you a G chord, and by the way, G note is shown as a capital letter G, G chord is shown as a lowercase g. So finger 4, finger 3 for your classic pa pattern, which incidentally you get 1 per bar, because it's 2/4, 2 beats to the bar. And the D chord, exactly the same thing, exactly the same buttons, but pulling out. So G and D, they're the only 2 chords in the tune. Now we're in the key of G major. We know that because we've got an F sharp to the right hand side of the treble clef. The treble clef, if you're not sure, is that kind of curly sign at the beginning of the first stave. If you're not sure what I mean by stave, the stave is the group of 5 lines. I always think of it as a kind of series of shelves for putting the notes on. So there's an F sharp telling you that all Fs are sharp, and well, you haven't got any choice anyway, because all the Fs, apart from the accidentals at this end, if you have those, all Fs are F sharp on this instrument. So the very first bar, the first note, up the top there underneath the title, it says start note equals a B, G row button 4, that's for you if you've got a 3rd button start, 5 if you've got a 4th button start, finger 3 and it's a push. So it's that note there. Keep the instrument kind of square, don't let the bellows fall down like that, try and keep the whole thing square. It takes a bit more effort, but you'll get a much better sound, and you won't lose volume as the bellows kind of waggle down there, so keep the whole thing square. Now your very first bar couldn't be much more straightforward. You've got 2 crotchets on the right hand, the note is B, the tiny number 3 to the right hand side of the note tells us it's finger 3 with the right hand. If you're a pianist and you're used to calling thumb 1, not so in the Melodeon, the thumb doesn't count, so index finger is 1, 2, 3, and your little finger is number 4. So finger number 3, and you play that note twice as you go pa with the G chord. So very easy. Just so you know, underneath the notes you've got a bellows direction where it's necessary, so there's a push underneath that first B, but you can't see another bellows direction to the next stave because everything is on the push on that first stave. Underneath that you've got the bass line in more detail. You've got G, capital letter G, little g, capital G, lowercase g, all the way through that, telling you that it's bass note chord all the way through that, all on G. Underneath that I've put the words because I think it will help you get the timing if you've got the words there. And the very last thing you can see there is the counting. So as you play those notes you've got 1, 2, you count 1, 2. So very, very easy. Just need a light tap with your 3rd finger. You don't need to press hard like that. Play the note, come off, and keep it nice and short and staccato. Now the next bar is virtually the same, but you've changed note, you've come up 1. When I say up, I mean this way geographically to the note G, the root note of that row, and it's, for me, button 4, may well be button 3 for you. finger 2. So finger 3, finger 2. You can see all the way along this first stave you've got G as the chord on top, because it is a G chord all the way through. So far very, very straightforward. Don't forget, keep the bellows up, don't let them waggle down there. A lot of this is getting comfortable. I'm sitting upright, I've got my feet on the ground. Make sure that your left hand is down. What I mean by that is, obviously your left hand's got to come through the bass strap, but make sure your little finger can reach down to these bottom buttons, especially if you are using that like I do. A lot of people don't, they use a third finger down here. Some people even use just 2 fingers. If you're a starter, if you're a beginner, I would recommend trying to use 1 finger per row. You can't always do that. There are some tunes where I have to use my third finger down here, but this isn't one of them. It's pretty straightforward. So far, counted 1, 2, 1, 2.